My favorite time of year is here. We are getting into it. And so I'm starting off this season with a little shopping trip for a few things for fall. Some mums, some pumpkins, a few candles. These are things that I put out in our house every single year. A little fall decor that is more on the natural side and things that are coming out of the garden and being displayed outside, I am bringing indoors. I told y'all that I would be doing some late summer decorating, and I did, but I am slowly inching my way, or quickly maybe, inching my way into fall decorating. There's still florals and all of those spring and summer elements, but more in fallish color schemes. Now, I'm not going all in just yet, but things just shift. I don't really have fall decor. I just flow with the season. So for September, that means things like late summer flowers, which I don't have any this year, unfortunately, but usually it means an abundance of sunflowers. This year I'm using dried ones from last year because I don't have fresh. It means slowly bringing in pumpkins and mums as it makes sense, keeping with the bright colors while that reflects what is happening outside, and then bringing in shades of browns as we get further into the fall months. Everything is done in slow steps. I am not one that can just come in and throw all the brown in and swap from summer to fall all at once. It is very much a few little touches here and there to shift from one season to the next. And there are different colors and styles of fall decor, in my opinion. It starts out in early fall with a mix of summer flowers and maybe a few light colored pumpkins and fresh apple flavors, and then we eventually shift into October and November fall, which is very browns and cinnamon and those more deeper hues, and that's what I love about it. So nothing is all at once. So I've taken down my hanky curtains, my vintage hankies, off of the window and put up these navy floral curtains. They're still a little summery, but with the deeper colors just felt right. I am opening up the windows and letting in the cool air. Now today we are having some family over, and so I'm making up a pot of sweet tea. We almost always have it in the fridge, but I'm also going to make up a treat for when they are over. So I've shared how I make our tea before. It is just a matter of about 4 cups of water heated to an almost boil. Steep the tea bag for 8 to 10 minutes. Pour it over 2 cups of sugar and then fill it the rest of the way with ice and water to make a gallon. And it is a very simple southern sweet tea. It is very sweet. You can do less sugar if you want, but around here that is not acceptable. So unless you're drinking unsweet tea, which we don't drink, but it is common in our area. Next up are the treats that I'm going to make. So I am just making some old-fashioned oatmeal lace cookies. I make these every year. These are not a fall cookie, but for some reason in my head they remind me of fall. I guess because I just always make them in fall. They just make me think of fall time. So as we inch into fall, these are what I start with. To make these old-fashioned oatmeal lace cookies, I put half a cup of butter, which is a stick, on the stove in a pot with a cup of brown sugar and a pinch of salt and a 1/4 cup of flour. It's actually easier if you melt your butter first, then throw in your brown sugar and your salt and your flour, and you let that all simmer for a few minutes until it thickens just ever so slightly. And then you add in a cup of oats, half a teaspoon of cinnamon, a teaspoon of vanilla, and an egg. Mix it all together, and then I like to put mine in the freezer for 15 to 30 minutes. and then do teaspoon or tablespoon, depending on how big you want your cookies, spoonfuls onto a tray. These spread, so give them plenty of room, and then they're supposed to have uneven, crackly edges and be kind of crispy, but I like to cook them a little bit less, and they are a little bit softer, and then I also like to round out the edges. I just like the look better. But traditionally, that's not what you do. But you bake these for about 10 to 12 minutes at 375 degrees and let them cool. Make sure you do this on parchment because these will stick. They are very sticky. I used to last year decorate this table every single season, and I was re-watching some of my old videos and seeing, like, in summer I had baskets of eggs and vases of flowers on it, and it was so pretty. And then I took it out of our kitchen for the summer this year to make room, and we just adjusted our house, and I realized that I really miss being able to decorate this. Now, I do have a little 2-year-old who likes to grab everything off of this table, so this may get taken back out. But I am adding my dried flowers, our pumpkins that we grabbed, a butternut squash, a bowl of apples, all on this brown and white fall tablecloth. Now, this is very fall, and since then I've actually taken this tablecloth off because it just went a little more into fall than I was ready for, and it also needed a wash. When I put a tablecloth on this table, I have to wash it like every day. So it has since come back off, but for now it is still beautiful. These are my favorite kinds of pumpkins, these green, kind of the like soft faded green looking ones. Those are my very, very favorite pumpkins of all. Jardel, Cinderella, those are my favorite. Now I also put a few new teacups up here. These are brown and very fallish. That's okay, I suppose. But the name of the game right now is just apples and pumpkins everywhere. I'm really not a very serious decorator in the sense of collecting things that I have to store and keep from year to year. I have a few things like my vintage dishes and whatnot, but as far as like little knickknacks and wall signs and all that, I don't really have a lot of things like that. I tend to just throw a few seasonal things out and add linens that are within a color scheme, you know, bulk up the linens in fall and winter, take them away more in the spring and summer, change out my plates. And then otherwise, it's a matter of bringing in fresh flowers in the spring and summer, pumpkins and apples in the fall, poinsettias and greenery in the winter. It is just whatever is happening outside I bring in. And I know a lot of people are that same way. Now, the things that I do collect and hold on to are things that are functional. So dishes, because not only can I use them for, you know, feeding people on, but also hang them on the wall. And hanging them on the wall is another way to store them in my eyes. So it's all very functional. In the spring and summer, I love hats on the wall. We wear them, we take them down, and we wear them. So anything on the wall is usually something I take down and use also. So I do take down these plates on the wall and use them, or the plates in the hutch and use them. I put out fall cookbooks or seasonal cookbooks, and I pull them off the shelf and I use them. All of the pumpkins and the apples that I put out, we eat, or the animals eat. So these apples I'm putting out, the kids will snack on, I will bake with, and I'll just keep refilling them throughout the season. The pumpkins will all be plucked one by one based on which one I like the least at the time that I need some pumpkin puree or cubed butternut squash or whatever that I'm using for a meal or a recipe, I will just pull them and use them as I need them. And then at the end of the season, any pumpkins that are just not really something you want to eat, like they're a watery pumpkin or we're just over pumpkin, will go out to all of the animals. The cow, the goats, the chickens, even the donkey. They all love pumpkin. And a lot of people say it's a good dewormer for them. I haven't found it to be necessarily a dewormer, but it is a really good preventative or natural measure to help prevent things like that and just to keep a well-rounded, healthy animal. So that is what we do. It also is just a source of food, and it fills their belly and it has lots of nutrients in it. So all of these things get used or consumed in some way, and there's not a lot that I carry throughout otherwise. I don't really have signs that just hang up on the wall and don't do anything. I do have artwork, and that is maybe the least useful thing, is I have different paintings and framed artwork that I use, that I hang on the walls. Otherwise, it's things that we use for every single season. I decorate my porch in a very similar manner. The only thing I add is mums that are different, and again, that goes along with like fresh flowers in the spring and summer. But I take these old crocks that sit here year round, and each season I plant something in them. And so for fall, it is always, always, always mums in different shades and colors. And then I layer pumpkins around them and keep it simple like that. I may throw a fall blanket over my wicker and move my seating around, and I do have a sign out here, and I change up my signs on occasion. But for fall specifically, it is just a matter of throwing some pumpkins out here and adding some fall florals. I also could change up my little cedar sign behind this that has tulips, but I haven't painted one for fall, but I really should. Watching this back, I am seeing that that could be a nice addition. Now today was milk pickup day as well, and I just had my little basket of milk when I came home, and I had sat it down there to get Jack into the house and realized how beautiful that looked with our mums and pumpkins. And so I'd post about it on Facebook because I'm friends with the gal who runs this dairy farm, and I was just sharing how pretty it is to buy locally. You get to carry your milk home in a little cute basket, and that is just really, really fun. I love taking everyday things that we have to do and turning it into something beautiful like that, adding little beautiful moments that makes it more than just bringing milk home. Here I am taking everything off the table. I had spilt something all over my tablecloth, my brown and white one, and decided it was a little too fall for the season that we're in right now. We had some cold fronts move through and then it got warm again, and so the weather is just going up and down, up and down. So I had removed it and just left the pumpkins and everything because that is still seasonally appropriate. I pulled pumpkins out of our garden. I'm going to put on this little soft yellow, buttery yellow eyelet table runner on here and just keep it really simple. Now this table is about to get a facelift. I've wanted to paint this for so long and just haven't done it. And that's a lot of what you see in my house right now, specifically because we are building a farmhouse. I have a lot of projects that I'd like to do, or ways that I would like to make this kitchen work better, or adjust my furniture, or whatever. But because this is such a temporary, I say temporary, we've been building for a while and don't expect it to be done like in the next 6 months or anything. But because I know what we're working towards, we're kind of saving our effort, our money, everything for the farmhouse down there. So I wanted to paint these cabinets, and I've said this to y'all several times. I've wanted to paint these cabinets over and over because they're not real wood, and so the little sticker cover is starting to peel. They really need to be sealed so that they can at least hold their structure. I'm very thankful for them. They hold a lot, especially this kitchen island cabinet thing right here. It holds a lot. It stores a lot of things, so I'm very thankful for them. But they do need to we need to do something to them to keep them from getting damaged. And so I thought, well, I'm just going to paint the cabinet. I think I'm going back and saying I'm not going to do it. It is so much work to paint cabinets and to do a good job at painting them. And with 2 kids right now and the holiday season coming up and all the things that I'm doing, I just don't know that now's the best time. So I'm going to instead focus on my little table there that I've been wanting to paint forever, that will come down into the new house with us, and it's not such a serious permanent fixture and can be repainted easily, and I can take it outside to paint it where little hands aren't grabbing at everything. So that is coming up hopefully soon. I don't know exactly what color I'm going to paint it, but I want something to brighten this kitchen up. Our kitchen is actually very, very dark. So hopefully I can get to that soon and brighten our kitchen up a little bit and make it kind of the color scheme that I picture. Now I made up some bread dough, my usual bread dough, not the gluten-free one. I know I'm giving y'all whiplash here with this back and forth, but my regular old-fashioned yeast dough, and lighting a candle to do some cleaning while that rises. I have a couple of things that I am going to be baking out of that bread dough. Now while I am cleaning and baking the day away, my husband and family is down working on our farmhouse. So I get asked questions all the time about our farmhouse and where it stands. This is what it looks like. We have been working on it a long time. We're doing it all ourselves, and I mean with family help, but we don't have a contractor, we don't have a builder, we don't have a crew. It is us, and that is it. So it is taking a while. We also have not taken out a building loan, and so, you know, it's in small amounts that we work on this, but I did want to share the footage because one day I know I'm going to look back and wish I could remember what it was like building our house. Not remember, because I definitely don't want to do this again, but sweet memories, whether they are stressful or not. And I had Jack up at the house because a building site is not a fun place to have a 2-year-old little country bumpkin boy. And so he stayed up with me while we baked and made some lunch and kept the house nice and clean for when everybody came back. And I'm getting started on some apple treats. Now this time of year to me is for fresh apple. Apples are coming off the tree. Our local farm stands are filling up with them. And I just love that fresh apple scent, taste, everything about it. And so I have the Antique Candle Co. apple Pickin candle lit with that fresh apple smell, and I am going to bake up a apple crisp. This is one of my favorite things. Now I don't go cinnamon apple with this because to me a crisp is very, very fresh tasting with the oats on top and the crumble, and so I keep it just the apples. I did about 8 cups or 8 apples. If your apples are really small, you might go 9 or 10 apples. So I just sliced and peeled about 8 cups of apples, which is about 8 apples. If your apples are smaller, it's 9 or 10. I mixed that with 3/4 cup of sugar, 1/4 cup of flour, or you could do cornstarch, 1/4 teaspoon of salt. I just did a couple pinches, and a tablespoon of vanilla. And I let that sit in the bowl just for a minute to soak up and kind of all meld together. And then I poured it in a deep dish pie pan. On the stove, I melted a stick of butter. And once that was melted, I added in 1/2 cup of flour, 1 cup of oats, and 1/2 cup of brown sugar. Gave that a good mix in and then just layered that on top. Threw it in a 400-degree oven to bake for 45 minutes while I worked on my bread. Now I'm making 2 types of bread here. One, I'm just making my traditional sandwich loaf. I like to always have a loaf of sandwich bread on hand. The kids like to snack on it. We can make toast in the mornings for breakfast. We can make sandwiches at lunch or for supper. We can do anything with it. And so I always like to have one. So I just shaped that, threw it in the pan, and sat it on top of my oven that had the apple crisp in it baking because it is warm on top and it helps my bread rise a lot faster. And then I am trying something new. Now the concept of this came from Heart's Content Farmhouse. It is a blog that has recipes. Katie Shaw writes it. She's also here on YouTube, but she doesn't post as regularly. But she has some really good recipes. Now this was based off of her cinnamon raisin iced bread. I'll link her recipe and then I'll tell you what I did. I can't remember exactly what she calls it. But hers, she mixes in her dough soaked raisins and cinnamon. And I did this wrong. I guess I just didn't read it all the way. And I wish when I had made up my dough for the first rise that I had put my chopped apples in it. I did about 1 cup. I would probably do 1.5 cups. But I wish I had mixed them in the dough and then let it do that first rise. But regardless, it still turned out really good. So I just spread out the dough and I did a layer of apples in it, folded it over, put some apples, folded the other side over, some more chopped apples, and then rolled it up and put it in my pie pan. And I am just letting that rise, and I will bake it just like my other loaf, and then I am going to ice it. Meanwhile, while those are rising, our apple crisp came out of the oven. Everybody is back resting after working on the house all morning. It is still pretty warm outside, and so they are ready for a nice fall treat, and an apple crisp is coming right up. While I didn't show it, I did pull the bread out of the oven. It baked for probably around 35 to 45 minutes, and it was nice and soft and cooling with a clean tea towel over the top. And while it did that, I am making up my icing. I have shared a buttercream icing with y'all before. I just did half of my regular buttercream icing. It is just some butter, some powdered sugar to your liking, and then thin it out with a little bit of milk or cream. I added a splash of vanilla, and I just added that on top. And at first I thought this is kind of a weird thing to make, but really this is just a bread version of a cinnamon roll, like a loaf version of a cinnamon roll. It is fresh apple. There's no cinnamon or anything. It is just a delicious fresh apple loaf of bread with icing on top, and we ate this for breakfast the next morning, and my husband really enjoyed this one. I hope you are having a wonderful start to fall or end of summer, depending on where you are at and what your weather is like. I know that we are, and I hope to see you next week. Thanks for stopping by.